Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1999 Nissan Silvia Autech. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Silvia for two reasons. First of all, this is my first ever go around with the S15. This is the S15 chassis, and this is the first chassis that we didn't get here in the United States. We got the S12, S13, and S14. However, the S15 is kind of the forbidden fruit, so I'm excited to try that out. The second reason I'm excited is because this is the Autech version, which got a higher compression SR and was limited to 1,875 units, and this also has a couple extra goodies on it that make it even more rare, so this is quite the unique S15 to be sharing with you here today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to the import guys here in North Washington for letting me borrow their S15. More on them towards the end of the video, but if you're interested in checking out their inventory or importing a car, please go check them out with the link down in the description below. But let's get back to that 2-liter under the hood, better known as the SR20DE. Well, the SR20 was kind of the it girl engine of the 1990s. The Silvia's always got the SR, besides the early S13's got a CA engine, but the SR was reserved for Japan in this sporty application. Now, we got it in the States in the Infiniti G20 and Sentra and things like that, but Autech had their way with this engine, upped the compression ratio, tweaked it a little bit, and now it makes 200 naturally aspirated horsepowers. So it wakes it up a little bit. They raised the red line to 7,500 RPM, and now this thing certainly sings. Now, this isn't the fastest S15 you could have gotten from the factory. They did have a turbo SR. However, Autech wasn't always about the fastest thing. Autech was supposed to be a little bit more luxury, just minor tweaks here and there to make it a better product. So that becomes very clear in this car with that engine setup. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. This is the only S chassis that came with an actual 6-speed. All the other ones, at least the ones that I've driven, have been 5-speed. So this is a very, very welcome treat. Last but not least, of course, the Autech Silvia is rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Autech Silvia? Well, it drives mostly like the other Silvias and 240s and whatnot that I've driven. It's not that much more special in the way that it drives. Now, that being said, it still drives amazing. I adore the way that these vehicles drive, handle, and perform. I said it with the S13 Silvia earlier this year. I'll say it again. It just feels like the car knows what I want better than myself. Every gear change, every rev, everything I want to do, the car does or is already doing. $7,500 is fun. That is very, very fun. It's not too much power. It's just that right amount, and that little extra push really, really helps from Autech. It makes it just a more complete package. That's the bow on top, tying it all together. You can have so much fun in this car, and you can have fun in this car wherever you want. You can have fun in this car on the highway. You can have fun in this car entering your neighborhood. You can have fun in this car in a school parking lot. And I think that's really the mark of a really good driver's vehicle. There are cars that do way better highway pulls and whatnot, for sure. But this has fun everywhere, all the time. It's engaging, and that's what I adore about these. Visibility fine, ride quality is not great, but what do you expect? It's a sports car. This also does get the Spec R brakes, and this 6-speed is the Spec R 6-speed. So from the turbo model, they use that, so it's a little bit stronger, a little bit better. The compression has 11.7 to 1 as opposed to 10.1 to 1. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my speedometer, in the center is the tachometer, and off to the right is the coolant temperature and fuel. On the steering wheel, I do get an airbag, possibly one of the only S chassis I've ever driven with actually an airbag, and the Silvia logo. Love seeing that. And off to the right, we do have a climate vent, and on the door, we have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do get 3 symmetrical climate vents. We get a aftermarket radio, and our climate controls has a little digital readout here for the climate. Love to see that. Mode, fan speed, AC. And actually the AC works. Again, probably a first for S chassis for me. Then we have 3 buttons-ish. The far left actually isn't a button, it's a 12-volt outlet. But then we have the rear defrost and hazard switch. And the shifter. Again, the shifter has the Silvia badge up at the top. I love that touch. And the shift pattern down at the bottom. Then we do have a little ashtray, and we do actually have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. Although it fails, at least it actually has cup holders that I can't say about the other generations. So very, very nice to see that. Then we get a center console and the seats. The seats are comfortable. The Autech does get red stitching, slightly upgraded seats, which I think is definitely fun and nice. And they do have decent bolsters that do hold you in, so they are pretty sporty right off the bat. You don't have to go and get a Recaro bucket seat right off the bat. You can actually live with these and drive very free-spiritedly while it holds you in. However, speaking of seats, we unfortunately for me do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. So if you have problems looking in the mirror at your own body, just be appreciative that you don't have to sit and edit footage of your own body curling up into the most obtuse angles for hours and hours and hours a day. Ugh. All right, I'm in the back of the S15. They made the interiors of the S15s way nicer than 14 and 13. They did not increase the rear seat space, nor should they. It's a sports car. They shouldn't have to. It's fine how it is, but yeah, no big wins back here. What can you do? Let's hop out and take a look at the trunk, and then we'll take a look at the cargo space. Wait, no, that's the same thing. It's the end of the day. Can you tell? This is my last car of a multi-day trip here in Seattle. So let's hop out and take a look at the trunk / cargo space. All right, behind a Silvia, and honestly, it's kind of a surreal angle of the car. I do also want to point out, totally forgot, it does have a rear wiper. Very, very cool. Anyway, keyhole off to the right, lift it up like that. And there you go. That is the trunk of a Silvia S15. Can't say it's shocking. It does the job. No crazy amenities, no Autech logo across it, unfortunately. And honestly, almost actually, there are no Autech logos on this. They were a very subtle brand. And I really, really like that. But that's the trunk of the S15, yada, 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 ba, ba, ba. Now we gotta talk about the looks. And a couple of things. First of all, it does have aftermarket wheels. And one of those rare bits that makes this car even rarer is that it does have a Nismo bumper, which again, is very, very rare on top of that already 1875 built. I don't wanna sound like a Corvette dad at Carlisle, but you know, it was the only one built on a Wednesday in the rain. I love the look of the S15. I think most of that stems from the fact that we never got them. So like, to me, this has always been forbidden fruit. Anytime I've seen them in movies, on TV, or now at car shows as of recent, it's always an occasion. It's special because we don't get to see them often, so that's always really cool. But again, I do think it's a really clean, really simple car. I think it achieves everything it set out to do very, very well. So with all that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving my first S15, let alone an Autech S15? Well, first of all, of course, right off the bat, this is an incredibly special car and an incredibly special experience. Very, very special. Oh, yes, 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 please, some more of that. Not only because this car is low production, not only because the S15 was unavailable, but this just feels like a bond that I don't get with other cars. I drive lots of cars. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you're probably tired of my notifications because I drive over 300 cars a year. And so I don't really form bonds, but I said it with the S13, I'll say it again with the S15. There's something special here. They put some magic dust in the mix when they were cooking up the S chassis vehicles, especially the Silvias. This car has heart, it has soul, it has meaning, it has emotions, it has a personality, and it's a personality that I click with very well. It's not a machine, it's a best friend. And now Autech has taken it and made it even better. And I like the fact, honestly, that they didn't use the turbo. Not saying that I don't want to drive the turbo. Of course I want to drive the turbo. But I like that they just elevated the more traditional Silvia. They didn't say you need all this horsepower for it to be good. They thought about it. They gave it what it needed. They upgraded small parts for the bigger picture. That is what makes the Autech special. That is what they focused more on, the balance, rather than just, oh, chucking more power at it and calling it a day. The build of this car feels meticulous. It feels calculated, and yet calculated for fun, calculated to give you the best drive that it can. That's what makes this car so special and unique. Does this car live up to the hype? Yes, I would say more than its GTR brethren, because it's an honest hype. It's not trying to tease you or get you to say something you shouldn't. It just works well, and the Autech does it better than the standard Silvia. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Dylan for letting me borrow his Silvia. He runs the import guys here in North Washington. They have so many cool and interesting cars. They import tons of S15s, and I wanted to drive one of their regular ones, and he said, no, you got to drive the special one, and I appreciate that. Please go check them out with the inventory linked down in the description below. They have some of the coolest cars that you've never, ever heard of. However, the S15 you probably have. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.